quick little update just to open this new vlog and tell you what I'm reading. So I needed another month to finish up the Aurelium reading. Oathbringer and Surgery just really made it so that I could not finish all the books I needed to for Aurelium. So this is me wrapping things up for my classes in order to finish the Archmage classes. And then I'm also going to be doing some reading for the lore quest if I'm able to with any other free time that I have, though I do have quite a lot of heavy October reading plans, so I might just need to focus on those, but we'll see. I left off with reading A Sword of Bronze and Ashes by Anna Smith Spark, and I'm done with this one now. I really enjoyed this book. I'm actually going to do a standalone review for it if you want to know all the details of it, but this is a fantasy kind of folklore horror novel, and it was really good. This is about a woman and her 3 daughters and her husband, and she has this dark evil from her past that is kind of coming back to haunt her and is threatening her family, and she's having to figure out how to deal with it, and it's very dark and gritty, but man, it's beautifully written. It's so beautiful. Anna Smith Spark is a master of the English language, and I'm really excited to read more books by her in the future. I actually have 3 more books that she's written that I want to check out. So this one was really good, and I would highly recommend it if you like fantasy horror, if you like grimdark fantasy. This has a very grimdark feel to it. Everything feels dark and gritty in this world, but I just love these characters, and it's a book I think I'm going to think about for a really long time. And then I moved on to listening to Wool by Hugh Howey. I had this one out on Libby from my library, so I've been listening to it while I'm working on reading some Brandon Sanderson books physically. So I've been really enjoying this one. It's different than what I thought. When it opened up, I thought it was going to kind of focus one direction. So Wool is about these people who are living in a silo, and the world outside is supposedly uninhabitable, but there are still some people who go crazy and willingly want to be kicked out of the silo. It kind of starts with this man who's like, yep, I'm going to do it. And we don't know a lot about the world or why he's doing it, except for that his wife also did it a while back, and he's following in her footsteps. So I thought we were going to focus more on him because that's who the novel kind of opens with. But we've actually been following the deputy and the mayor more. I'm about 25% of the way through this book, if I didn't mention that already. We've been focusing on the mayor and the sheriff, or the mayor and the deputy, who are looking for a replacement sheriff, because the man who left the silo at the beginning was the old sheriff. The deputy doesn't want the job, so they're looking for a new sheriff. And we're learning about the world, it's kind of structured in this long tunnel, and you travel down to different sectors of the silo. And so we're following the mayor and the deputy as they kind of figure out who they're going to replace as sheriff. And we're learning a little bit about the politics of the world and how people from different sections of the silo don't necessarily see the same things as important. And it's very interesting. I just thought we were going to be exploring more of the outside with the deputy. So I'm really liking it. It's been a great audiobook. I've just been listening to it 10-15 minutes before bed, and then occasionally here and there when I'm doing some chores, and I'm making good progress. I'll probably try to pick it up physically when I have some time as well, so I can get through it a little faster, because I just don't have a lot of audiobook time right now. Hello, I am here to bring you an update on Wool by Hugh Howey. I'm about 60% of the way through this book. I have been reading this in little pieces a few minutes before bed. I'll read it on ebook when I'm out on my walk. I haven't been reading this one physically at all yet, though I might when it gets closer to the end. But I'm really enjoying this. When I first updated you, I think I didn't really have a good grasp of what this book was about. So I'm just going to give you like a better update now. So this book opens with a man who is sent to cleaning. Cleaning is when you are being kicked out of the silo, which is where people live. The outside world, it is no longer inhabitable. And inside this silo, this man, Holston, he's the sheriff. His wife was sent to do a cleaning years back. He didn't know why. She basically asked to do it, and then eventually he does the same. When he gets outside, some weird stuff happens, and that's the end of the story that we are shown from his perspective. Then it moves on to some other characters, and eventually we kind of settle on 3 different perspectives. I don't really want to tell you who exactly they are. I think it's better maybe not to know too much about this going in. I think with a lot of dystopians, it's good to not know too much. So suffice it to say, I'm really enjoying it so far. We are really learning about the politics of the silo and kind of how people feel about people in charge, and we're learning about the cleanings, and one of the main characters that we settle on, she's really awesome. I really enjoy reading from her perspective, and without giving any spoilers, hers is my favorite perspective, which I'm sure if you've read Wool, you probably know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm just really intrigued where it's going to go, and I really enjoy how Hugh Howey is not afraid to sort of change perspectives. We have followed some people and then kind of stopped following them and followed other people. And he's done it in a very seamless way that I think is really interesting, because a lot of authors, I don't think, would introduce a point of view only to then like stop following that character. But I think Wool is really planned out really well and really carefully to make sure that, you know, if we're not going to stick with a character for a very long time, make sure that it's interesting and that we're getting a lot of value from that perspective if we are going to be in it for just a little while. It kind of reminds me of like Brandon Sanderson's interludes in the Stormlight Archives, because he'll do the same thing where we'll pop into a character's point of view that we haven't been following, but he does his best to make it like important and interesting to the story. And I feel like Hugh Howey is doing that in these books. So I'm really enjoying it. I know the next book in the series, which I'm most definitely going to be continuing on in this series, but the second book I've heard, it's called Shift, and I believe it's a prequel. And normally I am so not into prequels. I'm already like, we know, you know, where our characters are going to end up. But this prequel will be about how everyone got into the silo in the first place, like what happened to the Earth. And I'm really intrigued by that. There was a part that I just got to in Wool that has made me really intrigued about like what has been happening beforehand. There's been some stuff that we're finding out about, and it's like, what's been going on in this silo? So I'm very excited actually to read the prequel, which is wild because normally I don't like them very much. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I'm really excited to keep going, actually finish up Aurelium the Magical Readathon. I will be finishing it this month. I don't think it'll take me too much longer to read this one. Hi, I am here to update that I have finished Wool. I actually sat down and finished this physically last night. I had about 60 or so pages to go, and I really enjoyed this. I am so glad there's more in this series, because the way it ended made so much sense with everything that led up to the ending. And it just got me really intrigued about what's going to happen next. If I'm right, Shift is going to talk a little bit about the past, how things kind of came to be. We did figure out a little bit of that, but I feel like that could be fleshed out a lot more. There's a lot of questions I have about the history of the silos and how they came to be. and I'm so intrigued to continue on and get the rest of our character stories in here. We have some really interesting things kind of coming up and some questions about what will happen in the future. So I'm gonna call this vlog done for now. I finished the 2 books that I needed to get my career, and the lore quest is just gonna have to wait. Now that I'm done with Wool, I really need to focus on reading Rhythm of War, which does not work. I'll have to double check. I need a book with a moon on the cover, and I have a few that I could be reading, but I really need to read Rhythm of War because it's October 23rd today, and I want to read Rhythm of War and have a little bit of a break from Stormlight before Wind and Truth, because reading these books, like giant books back to back, and Wind and Truth is going to be the largest one, that's going to be really hard to do. It's hard to read them back to back. I feel like I want a little bit of break to like read some thrillers and short books in between. So I'm going to call this vlog done. I have completed my magical readathon lessons for the year, and next year I plan to be back with Nari trying to complete the next level up. I just did novice because I've completed both years, and so then it'll be the next level up, which might be adept. I can't remember. Thanks for watching. If you participate in the magical readathon, please talk to me about it. I'd love to know your experience with it. Tell me about your characters and what careers you've gone for, or tell me about these books. Do they sound interesting? Has anyone else read Wool? I'd be really intrigued to know if anyone has finished the whole series, because I don't know anyone that's read it. I just heard about it when it was kind of becoming a popular book that people had talked about, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe. Tell me about those books if you've read either of them. Do they sound interesting? If you've read the whole series, please let me know what you think about it. Bye.